You know, there's something to be said about Destiny, developed by Bungie, that despite all of its stumbles and failures, it lasted for over 10 years. It's hard to think about that there was a time before live service games were the norm. Obviously, you had games like World of Warcraft and other big MMOs, but for the average gamer, we were used to $60 and maybe 3 to 4 map packs a year. Then Destiny came along. Now, it's entirely up for debate as to who really started the live service craze, but I really do believe that Destiny put it on the map. I mean, a first person shooter with seemingly infinite replayability, weekly resets, classes, subclasses, raids, weekly challenges, PvP. What was this new game in 2014? I remember I had very little interest in Destiny, but my brother got a copy of it, so naturally, when bored one day, I ended up playing it. I actually really was enjoying it for the first handful of levels or so. See, I'm a gamer who likes stories, and some of my favorite games of all time have stories that are iconic, like Halo, Gears of War, Assassin's Creed, and Cyberpunk 2077. But 3 levels into Destiny, I had no idea what I was even doing. I knew that I was a warlock, I knew that this little flying ball resurrected me, and I knew that the monsters I were fighting were from the darkness, and my character was forged from the light. Can I just say for a moment that if you're going to write any piece of media, refrain from calling your antagonist the darkness and your protagonist the light? Let me give you an example. In The Lord of the Rings, Sauron is the Dark Lord, but his armies and forces are not called the Armies of Darkness. They're called the Armies of Mordor. In Star Wars, they use terms like light and dark side of the Force, but that's because the Force is established by Obi-Wan to be.
The Force is what gives the Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together.
Then it makes sense for the Force to be acting in correspondence with the command of the person who's using it. I'm well aware that the light and dark get more explanation and detail in Destiny 2 Beyond Light, which came out in 2020, 6 years after Vanilla Destiny, and even then, it's pretty hard to fully understand. That's my biggest problem with the world. It's incredibly interesting and it hooked me, and the character and enemy designs are awesome, but from start to finish you have no idea what the fuck is going on. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am well aware that the Grimoire exists, but the way it's implemented is total bullshit. Why on earth is every important piece of storytelling locked behind a website/app? I wouldn't be as mad if it was in the game. Why? Because at least it would make sense. Unlock lore in game, from playing game, read lore in game. But instead, I have to go to a website to figure out vaguely what the fuck is going on, and that's part of the problem. Everything that's written in the Grimoire is written like a fucking riddle. The writing is so bad in Destiny that a content creator who exclusively covers the lore, My Name is Bife, is the only reason that 90% of the player base knows what the fuck is happening. And even then, I'll play a clip from him discussing the MacGuffin from Lightfall.
Is the Witness's entire objective in the Lightfall campaign to find the Veil and link with it. And why? Because reasons. I don't know. They don't explain that either.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard that correctly. The person who knows almost the entirety of the lore and story of these games has no fucking clue what the MacGuffin for the entirety of the Lightfall expansion is. Destiny and Bungie managed to break away from Activision at some point in 2019, and its ultimate would allow Destiny 2 to live past Shadowkeep. Which, by the way, how the fuck did you go from a banger DLC in Forsaken to a wet fart, Bungie? Please let me know. And yet, somehow the monetization got 10 times worse. I'm aware that Bungie going independent meant that they would need more money from the player base, but some of these prices were genuinely batshit insane. It's around this time that fans started calling the Festival of the Lost, the in-game celebration of Halloween, the Festival of the Cost, because the content that was worth getting was all locked behind the Eververse store. Speaking of paid content, I have a serious issue with Destiny's 2 decision to create the Destiny Content Vault. For those of you who are unaware, during the development of Beyond Light, it was announced that the game couldn't withstand the amount of content that it had. Once the Beyond Light expansion released, they'd be locking away planets and their content in exchange for new content. It should be noted these were planets that you needed to pay for as full-blown expansions, so if you purchase this content, go fuck yourself, because Bungie just deleted it all. They also deleted the base game main quest in Destiny 2 for some reason, which I'm sorry, what? So for as a new player, you have access to 0 main quests outside of the tutorial, so Bungie basically made the game unplayable for new players. Oh yeah, did I mention that the game went free to play around this time too? Yeah, go fuck yourself if you paid $60+ on our game. It's free now. So let's assume you're a new player, playing because the game is free now. and you have no incentive or interest in paying for more content. How do you progress? Well, the expansions are about $30 to $40 a pop, so that's a no. I know. The Battle Pass, you can earn... Oh, wait. The Battle Pass is 60% empty unless you buy the premium version. So that leaves the weekly challenges such as Raids, Nightfall Strikes, Crucible, Gambit. On the weekends, you get Trials of Osiris, and once a month, you get the Iron Banner. All of this gives you a limited amount to grind to chew through each week. Now, why on earth would you ever grind for a game that 90% of the content is content that you cannot access unless you pay hundreds of dollars? And that brings us to today. It's my opinion that Destiny deserved to be shut down. The only people that are left are experiencing sunken cost fallacy. I was too for a very long time, but the saddest thing is it didn't need to be this way. People forget, but Destiny 1 was criticized relentlessly until the Taken King came and saved the game. You'd think Bungie would have learned from that, but oddly enough, they did the exact same thing with Destiny 2, and it was criticized harshly until Forsaken. Ever since then, the quality is hit or miss. Shadowkeep and Beyond Light were boring slogs where nothing happens. Beyond Light only being carried by the Deepstone Crypt raid and the introduction of the Stasis subclass. Witch Queen was actually pretty good, and it finally added some credence to the idea that light and dark may not be entirely black and white. Forces born of darkness can wield the light if given the opportunity. I think. It's never actually explained how Savathun earned the light for her and her brood, or even if she did for that matter. Anyway, it was amazing DLC. Then Lightfall came out, and expanding almost nothing on what Witch Queen established. And I mean almost, because we did get to see the Geek Bar guy get cut into the Trialer and then Vor himself. Other than that, the DLC was more of a follow-up to the Leviathan raid. And they did add these wannabe Silver Surfers, who are just the most boring characters ever. Except the younger guy, who's not actually boring, he's more full-on insufferable. Like, in the story, this chucklefuck dies, sacrificing himself for some shit. And then everybody's, like, really sad about it. And then the literal next mission, this guy's fucking joking around like it's a Marvel movie.
Why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
Systems are late, with 80% of defenses now operational. I'm full of fury, she's got an army, and you got magic green strings. Let's crush this callous guy.
It's bad enough that I don't give a fuck about this nothing burger of a character. But can you at least try to make it feel like this asshole cares? I can't even praise this expansion for adding Strand as a subclass, because this expansion made me realize that every subclass is super is copy and pasted. At least for the Warlock. Out of the 8 supers, 3 are actually unique. Those being Chaos Reach, Pool of Radiance, and Dawn of Radiance. And out of those 3, only one is actually viable in-game. That being Pool of Radiance. And truthfully, I can't help but feel like that's not done by mistake. After Lightfall, I stopped playing Destiny. I did buy the Final Shape expansion, I got maybe halfway through it, but put it down almost immediately. I never picked up the game again, and when I saw that there was a Star Wars collab, I knew the game wouldn't be lasting for much longer. I know this video has been mostly negative towards Destiny, but I'm not entirely a hater of the game. It did have a pretty cool community, it had a love and passion behind it, and at one point, I thought it was one of the best games of all time. But now in 2026, I can't say it was. The facts just don't add up. I think Destiny really does deserve to be laid to rest. I just think that it happened far too late to end out on a high note. But what do you guys think? Are my points wrong about Destiny? Do you have a different opinion? Let me know in the comments down below. In the description will be the links to my social medias, as well as the link to my Discord server. As always, thank you all for taking the time to watch my video. I'll see you in the next one, so stay ghoulish, my friends.